Do you know why the 1961 to 1966 Ford trucks are the best trucks ever? In 1961, Ford rolled out the 4th generation F-Series, which would see some big changes, like new body lines and a unibody option. And later down the road, a birth of a legend. The F100 was the light-duty option. The engine options were a 223 inline-6 that made 135 horsepower and 200 foot-pound of torque. Or the 292 Y-block V8 that made up to 160 horsepower and 275 foot-pound of torque. Transmission options were a manual 3 on the tree option, a heavy-duty T98 4-speed manual with a 6.39 first gear ratio, a rare 3-speed manual with overdrive, or the Ford O-Matic 2-speed automatic. The rear axle was mostly a Ford 9-inch. Although the Dana 44 was also an option. Common gear ratios were a 370, 389, and the less common 410. Payload capacity was up to 1,700 pounds. Front and rear suspension were leaf springs for now. Ford also offered the F100 in unibody that had 6 or 8 foot bed styles. For the non-unibody, you could get a style side bed. It was known as the wrong bed because it used the previous generation's bed. The flare side bed came with a 6 or an 8 foot option. You could also get the F100 in 4-wheel drive. The Dana 44 axle was used up front. If you had more work than the F100 could offer, then the F250 was for you. It had the same engine and transmission options, except no 3-speed overdrive. The rear axle was typically a Dana 60. Common gear ratios were 410, 456, or 488. Payload capacity was up to 3,900 pounds. You could also get your F250 in 4-wheel drive. The Dana 44 was used up front. Both the F100 and F250 4-wheel drives used the Dana 24 transfer case with a 2-to-1 low-range gear. If you needed even more truck, the F350 was there. With the same engine and transmission options as the F250, the rear axle options were a Dana 70, the Timken B140, or the rare Rockwell option. Common gear ratios were 456, 513, or 587. The F350 also came in cab and chassis, giving many options. There were a few changes along the way. In 1962, the F-Series got a grille change, and the Ford O-Matic was replaced by the Cruise-O-Matic. In 1964, Ford discontinued the unibody. and got a new style side bed. The grille changed. And the cab roofline was raised 1 inch for more headroom. Also in 1964, the 352 FE V8 was an option that made 208 horsepower and 330 foot-pound of torque. 1965 was a big year for changes. Twin I-beam suspension was introduced.
Ford rides smoother because its rugged twin I-beam suspension has 2 front axles, so each wheel can step over bumps independently. Here you have visual proof that even on rough roads, your ride will be smooth.
A grille change. The 292 and the 223 were phased out. And the 240 inline-6 was a new base engine that made 150 horsepower and 234 foot-pound of torque. And a legend was born with the 300 cubic inch inline-6 that made 170 horsepower and 283 foot-pound of torque. Also, the first year for the Ford Crew Cab. 1966 was the last year for the 4th generation F-Series. The Ranger trim level with bucket seats was an option. Also, 1966 was the first year for the Ford Bronco.
Tough, go anywhere, climb anything sports car. Extra clearance underneath, big 6-cylinder power.
And that was it for the 4th generation Ford F-Series. But that's not where the story ends. The front I-beam suspension became a staple for Ford trucks. And the 300 cubic inch inline-6 is still a favorite today. And that's why the 1961 to 1966 4th generation F-Series are the best trucks ever.